I got everything a man needs. Now, that's a much better place than waking up every day and not appreciating that woman that's in front of me, not appreciating those kids in front of me, not appreciating you, and it's not that you don't mean to not appreciate them, but it just means that you think something else is going to make it all better.
Recently, especially now that I'm older, it's like, one, I probably need therapy, you know what I mean? Realistically. Because there's a lot of things that I'm still working on that are just like emotional and like, you know, subconscious things that are in your head that you don't even know are there from when you were a kid. I try to like remind myself, be patient, because these are the moments where when you're in it, they feel like it's never gonna happen, but it's like you said, eventually the time passes, things start to get in order, and then you realize like the stress was for nothing.
And then the average millionaire is 53 or something like that.
Millionaire
65.
Yeah.
Cut that bullshit with that fucking Instagram, social media. Mierda, that's bull. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not taking it from somebody.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're not all Michael Jordan. We're not all fucking, you know, all these special, you know, rich Mark Zuckerbergs. We're not all those people. But that doesn't mean that we're not unique. That doesn't mean that we're not special. It doesn't mean we don't have something great to offer.
All right, guys, we are getting very experimental with it. We got a cigar talk today. Podcast outside.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Vamos a ver.
Let's see what comes of this. If you're watching this, that means it made the cut and we decided to use it.
And it's gonna.
If not, then it'll go to the dungeon.
I'm gonna be hell of impressed because all I hear is wind, little guy inside, neighbors over here. So we just want to bring you into our world a little bit. And yeah, we do like to go out and take it easy every now and then and enjoy a cigar. Can I just say that we're probably going to get a little bit of heat from Monte de Leon Cigars.
We ran out of his cigars, though.
Bro, shout out to my cousin Charlie and his lovely wife at Monte de Leon Cigars. I tell you, I'll take one of those cigars any day over just about any other cigars. But this is an impromptu podcast, and we just didn't plan it out the right way. But yeah, if you're looking for the right kind of cigars, definitely hit them up. Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you have to physically see results to believe that progress is happening? Or do you believe that progress can happen even when you don't see the results?
So I feel like, I'm not going to lie, for me, I'm still trying to break from that. Like, I need to see progress. You know what I mean? But I do know that if I'm there's certain things that you put in the work and like it happens in the background. You know what I mean? So it's like putting out content and meeting people and connecting and doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just joined the mastermind with someone local from AZ, which is cool. With a bunch of creatives and things like that. So I just think if I keep doing those little things, that something will come of it, and eventually, like, you know, the ball will keep rolling. But I'm still very much I look at things, I'm like, okay, what has been happening? Oh, nothing really, you know what I mean? But like I said, I just been going day by day. So that's helped me control that, of having to see the progress happen in front of me.
I think there's a major strength in that. I really do. I think there's a strength and you know, I don't love, not for different reasons, I don't love the whole day by day.
Yeah.
I don't love the way it's been used in other ways, but I'm getting your gist of it. Day by day almost suggests the way it's been used in other ways is like, I'm just living life. Like, I don't know, I'm living day by day. I don't always know like what's going to happen next. And you're basically saying, I'm allowing things to ferment and I think that's how you're saying, I'm allowing things to work, to play themselves out.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting myself in a position, I'm growing myself as an individual, and I'm putting myself in a position that when an opportunity presents itself, I'm going to be prepared to strike.
Yeah.
I'm going to be prepared to take advantage of that opportunity, right? But in the interim, I'm going to prepare myself.
Yeah.
And that's being in the game, right? That's understanding that, bro, I know what I've done to get here where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. And even at times, you probably didn't feel like you were making progress when you were pursuing this either. There wasn't always in fact, I remember you telling me that you feel like you were taking steps backwards. because you had to give up your apartment, because you gave up your car, you know, and you're like, man, this feels like I'm taking steps backwards.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna, like, done the great reset in my life, in the sense where, like, my life right now is nowhere near what I envisioned when I was younger. You know what I mean? Because I'm pushing I'm 20 years old. I'm going into 30 years old. By this time, when I was 18, 19, 20, you know, I was like, oh, by the time I'm 25 or 30, I thought I was going to be a millionaire. Like, life was going to be sweet. I was going to be living like that travel lifestyle and doing this. Like, the lifestyle they sell you on Instagram. You know what I mean? I kind of thought that was where, I just figured, like, I will figure something out, and then that's kind of where I was going to go. But at the same time, I didn't have no concrete, like, plan. So that's probably why it didn't happen. You know what I mean? And I'm breaking... I don't want to say generational curse, but, like, you know, generational, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, habits, I guess. You know what I mean? Just things that you grow up with seeing that, like, subconsciously just are there. You know what I mean? So I'm working on building that. And then I would say, yeah. So, like, right now, I feel like I don't think about that, though, anymore. Because if not, I feel like that'll get me in the negative headspace, and then I'll start going down the rabbit hole of, like, damn, I'm not where I want to be. Am I even doing the right things? Like, you know what I mean? Start questioning the choices I'm making. So I try to avoid going down that path. I more so think now, like, what are the goals you want, and who is the person you have to be to get there, and then put in those steps. You know what I mean? Because if I start thinking about, like, what I want or what I thought I was going to be by the time I'm, let's say, 30, then I'll feel like I'm way too far. But the realistic thing is that a lot can happen in a year or two. So who knows what's going to come of it. And I just believe that God's timing is perfect. It'll come when it's meant to come. When I'm the person that's ready for that opportunity or that lifestyle or that, you know, I mean, that responsibility, because money is a responsibility, leadership and being in charge of an organization is a responsibility. So when I'm ready for that, I think it'll come.
It'll present itself. Yeah, when preparation meets opportunity.
But yeah, like, I just keep trying to put in the work and focus on that.
I like it.
Instead of less of the actual progression of visually seeing it.
Listen, that's real deal, man. That's a very common trait amongst entrepreneurs, by the way. And you know, I had this thought earlier today. If my 18-year-old self saw where my 45-year-old self was at today, I'd be like, hell, no way.
Yeah.
And I'd be hella proud. Yet my 45-year-old self says, well, why aren't you better than this? Like, why haven't you achieved? And the nasty thing about that is that it's like you get yourself, you forget how hard you've worked to get where you're at. And when you get amongst other people or you strive and you achieve something, that ideal pushes itself out even more, the ideal. That's a scary thing, because there are people who are filthy rich and filthy successful, and that ideal keeps on running from them.
Yeah. It's interesting because I can't say that, like I said, like, my 18-year-old self thought I would be way further along. So I can't say, like, oh, wow, I'm surprised. But then, so I try not to
You had millions in your head, like oh.
Yeah, but maybe I was just sold that dream through social media.
I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Like, because it's possible. Like, there's people my age killing and doing their thing, but I just envisioned something different. But at the same time, I'm self-aware enough to say that I didn't take the right steps to get there. You know what I mean? Like, I was wasting time doing a bunch of stuff that kind of led to nothing in a sense. You know what I mean? So, like, but I'm paying the price for it now. And it was comfort. You know what I mean? I was stuck in the comfort zone and kind of just content with the situation, because it was just enough to, like, you know, I was enough to live a good life and then have an apartment, pay the bills, go out to eat, go out, travel, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I stood there way too long. So now I'm paying the price. And I think this reset is what will build new habits and allow me to get to the next chapter. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do look at where I'm at now and then look at it from, like, a third world country perspective, or, like, the way immigrants come here and they wish they can be, working and making some money and, you know, have a roof over their head. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm not living a bad life. Like, I live in the apartments, say luxury apartments. Like,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
could have been in one of those motel looking, like, rough apartments, you know. It's like, I'm blessed. But I have to look at it from that side, not from my expectation of when I was younger.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to do that to yourself. I think it's unfair to reflect back on. I mean, if I was to judge myself based on the many mistakes that I've made in my life, or the many shortcomings, or many things that I haven't, and when I say that my 18-year-old self would be proud of my 45-year-old self, I mean that in a way, and I don't mean that by where I live or that I made it to Arizona, or that I mean it more that I have become the character and the man that I set out to become.
Yeah.
And that I've learned how to love myself, and that I learned how to respect myself, and that I know how to value myself, and that I found a partner in my life who's my ride or die. I have daughters who are imperfect as I am, yet they are loving and they're kind and they're good people.
Yeah.
And I had, you know, we have to be flexible as human beings. Like, we have to understand, if we're not able to capture in the blessings that are presented to us, and also identify maybe what could come in looking like a blessing yet be a curse. If we're not able to do that, then how are we fully realizing ourselves? You know what I'm saying? So when I look from the outside in and I see you, I'm like, man, this cat has a stunning, gorgeous son, beautiful little boy, super smart. He's got such a stoic guy. Like, you're such a stoic dude to me. Like, you're always calm, you're collected, you're confident in your approach to life. You have a beautiful relationship with your girl, and you have a beautiful family in general. Like, it's like, you know it. You go anywhere and you know that you're getting eyeballs on you and your son and your wife and you, and like, you have what 95% of the population would be like, man, I wish I could fucking have something like that. Like 95%.
It's perspective on everything.
Even the guy
100%.
who's filthy rich would probably look at your life and say, I wish you have a mother that looks for you on a day in and day out basis. You have a mother-in-law that looks for you on a day in and day. You have a sister and a brother that, bro, they look at you like you're a hero to them.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that you're ungrateful. I'm just simply saying that perspective is everything.
I got to remind myself of those
You do have to remind yourself of those kinds of things, because what happens is that something is placed before you for a purpose and for a reason. And sometimes it's for you to make a much bigger change than you think you can make. And I'm not a religious cat by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll tell you this, you've impacted my life.
Yeah.
And for the better and in a positive way. And you've given me a purpose to share my past and share my stories and share whatever little wisdom I have. So I just simply saying that less energy on the latter, less energy on the former and more on the latter. You know what I mean? Like, focusing on where you are right at this moment and how incredibly blessed you are to be in the situation that you're in, and watch where that'll take you. Let go of everything from before, because it's not relevant. I don't think you screwed up. I don't think you fucked up. I don't believe any of that.
Yeah.
I believe what you said. Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And it's got to be for the right thing and for the right times. And you got to have faith in that. And I've told you this. I know you're going to be incredibly successful. I know you are. But it's not gonna happen until you realize who you really are.
Yeah, it's just a battle of patience and becoming the person, capable to handle it, I believe. And then also just having the, being grateful for the little things.
Yeah.
It's like, I've always said that it's something that's probably one of my downfalls, is like, I'm quick to overlook it or forget about that because I'm in the game, in the arena. You know what I mean? So it's like, but
forgive me. I don't think that it's because, I think that society has not valued perspective the right way. I think gratitude and perspective are secret weapons.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in just, it makes you feel good. Nah, that literally, it's like steroids, bro. It really is.
Yeah.
You attract the right kind of people.
Yeah.
You attract the right opportunities. People want to be around you. People want what you have to offer. People will increase your value in the marketplace because you are providing something that is unique. And that is the ability to be grateful for everything that you have in the moment. Because what happens when you're grateful in the moment, that brings you peace and joy and happiness. And when you have peace and joy and happiness, what you're not putting out is frustration, anxiety. When you have frustration, anxiety leading the way, guess what doesn't lead the way? Your talent, your skills, your artistry. That stuff gets put to the back burner because you're walking into life with, why am I not there yet? What the fuck? I should have done this a long time ago. Nah, you'd be like, yo, I say it all the time. I used to say this a lot. I'm glad I'm glad that I made it past 25. Fucking awesome. I made it past 25. Now, bam, this is all a bonus. Let's go. No, it's not.
And I will say that's like you said, it's like a superpower that you have, because from the beginning when we used to talk, you've always told me that, like, how grateful you are to even be in the position, because I remember one time when you said, like, oh, if it all ends here, like, everything has been a bonus. Like, I've surpassed my dreams a long time ago.
I made myself proud.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself as a human being. Now, can I ruin that? The only way I could ruin that is by embarrassing my family, embarrassing you, doing something stupid. That's the only way that I could ruin that. But ultimately, just think about this. If you wake up every day and you're like, and that's not to say that every day I don't have my frustrations. That's not to say, like, God damn it, Charles, why don't you do this? You know, like, you could be better. Like, you could do this. I still have wants and needs too. I do. But I always go back to home base. And that's like, man, I got a beautiful wife. Somebody loves me. People look for me. People ask me for advice. I have connections. I got everything a man needs. Now, that's a much better place than waking up every day and not appreciating that woman that's in front of me, not appreciating those kids in front of me, not appreciating you, and it's not that you don't mean to not appreciate them, but it just means that you think something else is going to make it all better.
Yeah.
That ain't no way. That's cancer.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it a secret weapon. And I do believe that if you lead that way, you will attract more people, hence more opportunities. Hence more opportunities are going to get you exactly what you're trying to get. You're taking the long route. You're taking it with a mask on your face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just being like,
I'm here.
Bring it, baby.
That's something that
Bring it.
I've watched a few podcasts recently, because sometimes I feel like YouTube is like knows what to suggest at the right time, or like sometimes things just come into your path.
Algorithms, brother. Algorithms.
Yeah, but the algorithms are sometimes known as a bad thing. But every once in a while, they have their benefits. And there was a few podcasts that I've watched that was more on like spiritual and like, you know, attraction and like vibrations. And for the longest time, like, I've always been on the line of like, is that even real? Like, because I've never believed in the like, you know, just attract it and manifest it and like just think about
why you're working towards it.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think that the message needs to be said is just like you just said, which is when you put yourself in that gratitude perspective, your vibration is going to change in the sense where like now the way you present yourself to others is different. Because it's true what you're saying. Like if I'm just thinking about, I need this, I want to get money, and like I'm not where I want to be, anything I do, I'm going to be frustrated. Even like, let's say, whatever job, you can be working at a job that you don't want to be in, right? But if you have the mindset of, okay, this is an opportunity, I'm going to do the best I can because this represents me, and I know that my time is coming, and you put your all into that with gratitude and you know what I mean, and embrace it. You never know. Like, let's say, for example, I'm working at a restaurant, serving tables. I have a good attitude, this and that. But my dream is to be a videographer. You know what I mean? And then I meet the head of the biggest marketing agency or whatever here because of the attitude that I have, and I'm grateful for everything. It could be the complete opposite. I meet that guy and I'm miserable there, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, all right, boom. Here's your bill. Thanks. Have a good day. Instead, I was, oh, how's your day? No, I'm great. Yeah. Bring up a conversation, and then he's like, yo, I love this guy's attitude. His energy is amazing. And what do you do? Oh, no, I wait here, but I also do videography gigs on the side. Then he could be like, oh, you know what? Here's my card. You know what I mean? It could have gone two different sides, and the opportunity presented it to you, but it's just about what you make of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I believe that there is a lot of times when people are praying for something, or they're in the midst of trying to attract something, you know what I mean? But then they get blocked because they're not in that right headspace. They're not in the right vibration, like they say.
Absolutely. And it's not, you know, the vibration and the manifestation, that stuff is not just what you feel internally. Yeah. That stuff comes out in body language. Yeah. That stuff comes out in the way that your energy, and there's statistical proven facts that it's something like body language is something like 65% of your communication, where your actual words are only like 10%. Yeah. And then there's facial expression, body language, there's the words, there's your tone, there's all those different things. But the words and the tone, those are minimal in comparison with body language. Yeah. You ever just connect with somebody and you just vibing? Right? You just vibing. There's just a good feeling.
It's just like energy. It's like there's something.
Bro,
like
the handshake's a little bit harder.
It flows. You know?
Brand new person you just met, and you probably give them a hug before you go. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's energies matching up. That's language. That person probably feels this. They're along the same path as you. Mm-hmm. How many times have you like connected with somebody who picked you up out of a grumpy ass negative attitude? Nobody wants to deal with that. Yeah. The whole point of this thing is that it's not mumbo jumbo shit. It's that it never serves you to be a pessimist and to see, look, what hasn't been achieved, what hasn't been done is over and done with. Those were opportunities for growth and lessons to be learned. That wasn't there for you to carry with you as a backpack while you're on your journey. That was there for you to grab whatever little lesson you needed to get out of it and keep it moving. Yeah. That kind of attitude is why winners win, right? The biggest winners are the biggest failures. Mm-hmm. Let me say that again. The biggest winners have failed the most. Yeah. That's a fact. They're the ones who just keep it moving. They don't take it personal. They don't hold on to it. They don't say, bro, I'm 28. I'm nowhere near where I wanted to be when I was 18. Yeah. They say, I'm 28. I've had 10 more years of lessons and mistakes that I've made. I get to keep on going at this. Yeah. That's all about perspective and how you paint this. And by the way, I think there's something the average fucking person who starts their business doesn't start till they're 45 years old.
Yeah, you sent me that, like the average CEO of $1 million company.
And then the average millionaire is 53 or something like that.
Millionaire is 65.
65. Yeah. Cut that bullshit with that fucking Instagram, social media. Mierda, that's bull. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not taking it from somebody. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're not all Michael Jordan. We're not all fucking, all these special, rich Mark Zuckerbergs. We're not all those people, but that doesn't mean that we're not unique. Yeah. That doesn't mean that we're not special. It doesn't mean we don't have something great to offer. Mm-hmm. Let's ride our journey with a positive attitude and keep it moving.
Yeah, no, that is facts right there. And those are things that I'm sure a lot of people need to hear. It's things that I have to remind myself daily, because all it takes is that one day where like something happens and you don't control your reaction to it, you know what I mean, or your emotions towards it, and then it starts to spiral into like 2-3 days of feeling bad, and then you start questioning everything. You know what I mean?
You imagine though, committing your love and your dedication to another human being, and their love and dedication, or at least their joy and happiness, is based on something out of their control and out of what they can do for your life. It's based on outside exterior factors. That's got to be brutal. You think that, not all of them want to jump on that ship and wait till you become a billionaire for you to be happy, to only find out when you get there you're not happy anyway. They're going to learn to hate money. They're going to learn to hate success. Mm-hmm. Ride it together. Just take a step back and say, yo, this is our journey. Yeah. Let's go figure it out. Whether we do good or we don't do good, we're going to do it together.
Yeah, man.
But do you know what, though, dude? I think that has more to do, Caesar, not with your lack of effort, not with your lack of caring, not with any of that. And the same goes for me. Not all of us were blessed with the right people in our lives to give us the right messages early on. Coping skills is a vital factor to learn from parents. Yeah. Coping skills is a vital factor to learn from mentors and from older people. There's a lot of things that we didn't get, and that's okay. Maybe we're the ones to change that for our generation, for the next generation. Maybe that's our success. Yeah. If I was to be given options that, hey, you can be super successful, super rich, super wealthy, have everything you want, Or you can be the beacon of hope for an entire generation or for your family. You can be that one pivotal thing in your family that just chose, hey, I'm going to go this path. Because don't get it twisted. You can get super filthy rich and not give a shit about what happens to your family. Yeah. There's a lot of people that have done that. Mm-hmm. Or you can take all the lessons that you've learned and you can come at it with the sense of, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to leave a legacy. Yeah. I'm going to make sure that my kids, their kids, and their kids' kids have a blueprint of how to approach life and how to approach it in a way to bring about the right kind of joy, the right kind of, being a good human being, loving themselves for who they are and accepting themselves for what they have to offer the world, being not afraid to be a creative, being not afraid to be themselves. I'll take that any day. Mm-hmm. I'll take changing people's lives for the better over myself individually going, no, I'd like to get them both. Yeah. But I'm saying if my destiny was to be something.
Yeah. I've always been like dancing between the mindset of like, okay, you can be, don't have like, not necessarily, not saying like a victim mindset, but like thinking like, oh, I wasn't handed these opportunities, or I still have things to work on. Because there's times where I'll be like, okay, I was born to immigrant parents who mm-hmm. were surviving, mm-hmm. not, like they were doing the best they can with what they had, but they didn't teach us certain things that maybe would have got us ahead in life. But at the same time, then there's times where I'm like, dude, like you have everything you need. It's all about you. Mm-hmm. You got to take accountability and say, you should be looking this stuff up. You should be learning. You should be becoming better. And in turn, you could be in a different position. Mm-hmm. But it's like, recently, especially now that I'm older, it's like, one, I probably need therapy, you know what mm-hmm. I mean? Realistically. Because there's a lot of things that I'm still working on that are just like emotional and mm-hmm. like, subconscious things that are in your head that you don't even know are there from when you were a kid.
They're blind spots, you know what I mean? For sure, yeah.
But also, it comes down to just, like I said, taking that accountability and being self-aware enough to say, okay, work on these things and become a better person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sharpen the mindset. Because I try not to like dwell in the thing, thinking about where I come from, mm-hmm. what I had versus what I didn't have, what I could have had. You know what I mean? All that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how do you? What's yours? Because there was something you said earlier, mm-hmm. and I don't remember exactly how you said it, but it's like, I think you said we are breaking.
We're breaking cycles. We're breaking patterns of behaviors, and I'm with you on that. I do think that it's important to attend to your blind spots, and the only way to attend to those kind of blind spots is either you find good mentors in your life, or you get some, you work on your mental health, either through counseling or through through self-learning, whatever the case is. And the reason being is because let's take all the emotions out of it. And let's say this is your life goal. You're trying to get here, and this is where you're at. These things that happen to you in your past are going to be obstacles along the way that you're not aware exist. So now you're going to keep going, and every time you meet one, you're going to get frustrated because you're not identifying it. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know why. Why do I walk into a room amongst a bunch of other successful people, and do I feel like everyone's staring at me and I don't belong in the room? Why am I having imposter syndrome? Why am I feeling less worthy then? Why do I not feel smart? What is all of this about? Until the day comes that I can figure out what the hell's going on there, it's going to be hard for me to overcome that. So yeah, it's worth going back and saying, okay, well, maybe that comes from, whether I was called a spick when I was young, or whether I had to go and get free lunch program, or whether I had to take food stamps to go buy bread and milk. Mm-hmm. Right? All those things got ingrained in my memory as I was less than, I was different, I was all of that. It's okay. It's no different than having a health problem. Work it through and let's make sense of it. And let's say, well, we're going to make sure our kids don't ever have to experience this shit. And then we're going to keep moving forward. And then you can look back and say, well, I understand that was a struggle for me. It must be a big struggle for other people too. So while I'm making my way on my journey, I'm going to share this with other people too. But at the end of the day, it's not, I used to harp on it like I'll never be good enough, or I'm not going to be able to work through that because I didn't know where it came from. Yeah. But now I know it comes from things that we grew up with. And it took me a long time to even understand that the people in my life, and whether it be my mom and things like that, they did the best that they could do with what they had at the time and the information that they had.
Yeah.
Now, there's ways to work through that and things to figure that out, but to let it, I don't think it's worthy of ignoring, but I also don't think it's worthy of it holding you down. And so I do agree with doing something with that, because at the end of the day, you said it best. You're working on yourself, and those opportunities are going to present themselves when you're ready.
Yeah, that I've learned to have an appreciation for the like content creators or the entrepreneurs who are out there, and like not glorifying the come up, but more highlighting the journey of what it took. Like,
Absolutely.
There's guys like Andy Frisella.
Yep.
Well, he talks about the realistic journey of where he is. You see his life today.
Yeah.
And he can be selling courses and doing all of this because the dude's a multi-millionaire. Like, I'm sure over the 100 million mark by now. But he's built a brand that provides value, that has a legacy, that means something. But he also tells a story of, hey, when I built this, I started with, I think it was like, $10,000 between him and his partner. He used to sleep in the store. He didn't make a dime for 5 years. And then in between the whole 10 years, I think he made like 35,000 from years 1 to year 10. You know what I mean? That's the realistic truth about entrepreneurship.
So what do you think he would say back to his younger self that was in the midst of that right now?
What would he say?
What do you think he would say back to his younger self?
I think is just keep putting in the work. I think what he tells you the realistic side of it, and he says like all this like glamour and Lamborghini, it's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, and then we are, a lot of people are a byproduct of someone either faking it and making it look like they have money and selling you on either a course or this vision of like what success looks like. And then you buy into it, and in turn, they get successful just off that. You know what I mean? Not because they've built something of value, but because they just promoted a lifestyle. So it's like, I feel like I've had years of that, because that's the dark side of personal development that nobody talks about. Yeah. That you get, in turn, you have this beautiful moment when you realize, okay, I want to better myself. And that's huge, because that's literally, that's like
pivotal
in your journey.
It's definitely, there's a money grab there for sure.
But at the same time, it's like when you get to that point, you're like in your infancy. You have to be very careful, and you have to watch how you nourish it. You know what I mean? Because you can easily get taken by the wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah. Where they're just selling you something, and then next thing you know, you start to think that success is supposed to look like this. Yeah. Oh, it's a 3 to 5 year thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing that I'm like working now backwards on, is like, all right, you know what? Enough of these gurus that pop up on Instagram and YouTube, and start listening to the people that are telling the right story. You know what I mean? People like Ed Milet, people like Andy Frisella, people like Alex Hormozy. You know what I mean? Because Alex Hormozy talks about that. He talks about he quit a good job to pursue something he was more interested in, built gyms, failed, got schemed out of money, had to close shops, found himself broke, literally surviving off credit cards to pay his employees, like doing like all the stuff that most of the entrepreneurs who have something go through. But those are the things that when you hear that, you're like, okay, I'm in that part of the journey. And you kind of learn to respect the timeline that you're in, instead of hearing the guy, oh yeah, year 1, I found this business. Year 2, it started going. Year 3, I was making $100,000 and I scaled it to $1 million, and now life is good. You know what I mean? And now I barely do anything. I only check on my businesses 1 or 2 hours a week. I travel, and I just have this Lamborghini, this Ferrari. Like, everyone wants that lifestyle, but I don't think it's realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would even beg to argue that chasing that lifestyle is going to leave a lot out. Yeah. It's gonna leave you empty. I'm not saying that it's not okay. I think it's great to have that lifestyle as a byproduct of becoming the best version of yourself and creating the best business and doing all of that. If you have that as a byproduct, that's fucking fantastic. Yeah, that's beautiful. But if you solely chase, this is what I want to do. I want to make 1 million, and then 5 million, and then 10 million, then 15 million, and I want to sell product, and then I want to be famous, and I want to be on Instagram. you're leaving out the whole sum of you.
Yeah.
You're leaving out your character. You're leaving out everything. So it don't matter. More money creates more problems. More money enhances your character. If you're a piece of shit, you'll be a bigger piece of shit. If you're a good person, you'll be a better good person. I think that, as you're reflecting on a lot of that stuff, what I'm kind of hearing is that some of your initial mentors, when it came to aspiring to be a great entrepreneur, was via the internet or via...
For sure, because I didn't have access to people.
Yeah.
Like, where we come from, it wasn't around.
Yeah.
And it was like this thing that was like, the people with money were either the drug dealers, the scammers, the rappers, or the athletes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't get to see an example of somebody who built a business and did that. Like, that wasn't in my world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then the only place to get it from is the books, and then the internet came around and you got it from these entrepreneurs, but then you don't know who's blowing smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, that's one of the things that this journey has taught me is like, okay, you gotta unpack. Now you're dealing with generational curses and stuff like that. Now you're dealing with things that were installed.
You were just drinking out of the wrong. You were drinking out of the wrong water hose. That's all it is. And that's why
I call it the great reset. Like right now, I'm learning a lot about myself and the things that maybe were hindering my growth. You know what I mean?
And opportunities to like meet some really good people and to make something your own and to create something your own. And like, I don't know. I think for me, it's like, I'm very grateful as you talk about this stuff. I think about the people in my life that I think about when I make big life decisions.
Yeah.
I think about, the man that I call my dad, who's the only father I have. I think, and he's a school teacher, retired school teacher. And that dude taught me about character like nobody's business. Like, he's my hero. Like, it don't matter if I can make it to 50 million. I'm not going to have, like, this dude will make a Facebook post and he'll have 400 comments on it. And, like, he's just the man, right? Like, that's what I aspire to be like. The impact that man had on my life, shout out to John Griffin, of course. The impact that man had on my life and the impact I've seen him have on other people's lives, I'm attracted to that.
Yeah.
That's the legacy I want to leave. I think about my mom. How hard she worked and raising 6 kids and how she still did it with grace and still did it with the very limited that she had. And my mom who loved me like when she didn't have to love me. So those, no matter how hard I've worked in my life to become who I've had to become, those are the board of directors in the mind of Charlie Gomez, for sure.
And it's important to have that, and it's important to have the right people in that position.
Absolutely.
Because it's like we've been saying this whole time. It's like you can get lost in the sauce real quick, start chasing money. And it's tough, too, because coming from where we come from, I think there's always been that level of, like when you're in the fire and you just want to get out. Like, you just want, like...
But you're out now.
Yes, but no. In the sense where like, out? I'm out because I'm out of that environment, but it's like I'm still working on that mindset.
But you're an artist. You have a blank canvas right now.
Yes. So right now, definitely, like I said, I'm in the great reset, but there's still like financial, struggles that we're dealing with, and there's still emotional baggage and mental stuff that I'm working on. So it's like, it's maybe that I'm pushing the goalposts, but I just want to get my head above water in the sense where, like, have a little bit of stability. Now, I'm not saying I want $1 million in my bank account, but I want to at least cover bills and have a little extra money, some money invested, saved like that. The more realistic side of success, I feel like I'm chasing that right now instead of millions. I just want to, like, get my head out.
So you're ahead of the game. And I think you're ahead, at least
because I think like that.
At least in comparison to me. I mean, do you want to know where I was at 28? I could tell you where I was at 28. Right. I could tell you I had a 430 credit score and I probably owed $15,000 in credit card debt. And I could tell you that I was having issues. I even had child support at the time, and I was having issues when I could see my daughters and when I couldn't see my daughters. And I was having issues having a stable house over my head, and I was having issues, getting into, 28, that's right when I met my wife, when we got married at 28. I met my wife at 27. But up to that point, I had the same passion you did.
Yeah.
I had the same frustrations you did. I wanted the same future you did.
Yeah.
I wanted to give it to my 2 daughters. That, you know, I had all of those same exact things, right? And I'm not comparing, we're not comparing emotions here. I'm just telling you that I had all of that stuff, and I was working through that, and I was, and I felt lost, and I felt like there was no hope. Like, where is this gonna come from?
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what I did, there was only one thing that worked, and it was starting from where I was at, and growing just a little bit every day.
Yeah.
And learning to believe in myself and surrounding myself with people who believed in me, and going through the bad days and just not letting those days get worse than they needed to be, and then standing up again and then standing up again. And I told you this before. We overestimate what we could do in a year and underestimate what we could do in 10. By the time I was 38 years old, very different situation. That's when I jumped into real estate. I had the confidence. I had gotten my associate's degree. I had done the things that I needed to do. I thought I was going to be a teacher. I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps, you know, and I was, you know, by that time I hit 38, I was like, you got no business becoming a real estate agent. You don't know shit. But I had taken my college classes and learned how to write an email and learn how to do all that stuff. Yeah. And I was like, man, if I could, you know, pass, you know, with my associates with a 3.7, I could do this. And that's where the confidence came from. And then 5-6 years later, my whole life is completely different. Sure, you can say, well, Jennifer was a big influence on you. Absolutely. But I had to become the man that I had to become to attract that kind of woman.
Yeah.
So have faith, stay strong, take the small little steps, day in and day out.
No, that's kind of where I've been at lately. But it's also just like conversations like this, fine tune it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it's easy to...
You're not going to flip your script in 2 months.
Yeah. This is a long-term process.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said, like, look at, you did it 28 to 38, you know what I mean? This is a 10-year thing where I'm like working things that I had in my head from back then.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like building up the confidence, the character, the perspective on what's important. You know what I mean? Those are all things that I'm doing now, and I'm in the beginning stages of it. You know what I mean? Doing it the right way too, because I have experience of knowing what it is to seek mentorship through books and all these things, but now the right people. You know what I mean?
And you'll cut my time in like by 80%. Like that's just the way it works. Because you have mentorship in your life, because you have a podcast, for crying out loud, that you're effectively putting out week in and week out. You're impacting other people. You're helping other people. Through that, you feel a sense of responsibility to learn and to develop and to evolve yourself. That's going to help you skyrocket. There's no way around it. You're doing the work. Yeah. Now you just have to trust the process.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Just trust the process. But in the meantime, don't rush the process.
Yeah. I want to trust the process, and I want to enjoy the process.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing.
Exactly. And I'm telling you that what I was going to tell you earlier about Hermosi or whoever the other guy,
Priscilla,
he would look back right now and tell his younger self, "Yo, chill out. It's going to be good. We got this. We're moving. We're pushing." That's what he would say. He's probably in a $70 million house right now, and he would look back and say, "Man, I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that struggle a little bit. I kind of missed a little bit of that fight. It took something out of me, and I saw things in myself that I didn't think I was capable of doing."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So remember that these moments are going to be moments you look back on and you're going to reminisce on and be like, with a cigar, and you're going to be like, bro, I was pretty I was scared. I was worried.
Yeah.
I leveled up. Good for me, you know? So.
No, that's why I try to, like, remind myself, be patient, because these are the moments where when you're in it, they feel like it's never going to happen. But it's like you said, eventually the time passes, things start to get in order, and then you realize, like the stress was for nothing. It's like I told Kirsten, she was stressing getting an apartment. And now we have it. It's like, look, the stress was for nothing. You were giving me headaches about this thing, and now we have it. So it's like, what was the point of that?
You know what I mean? People don't know until they know.
Exactly.
They don't know until they know.
But it's crazy how you go through that stuff. You teach people the lesson, but then sometimes it's hard for you to grasp it because it's at a bigger scale.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because we're talking about real life. We're talking about, 10 years down the line. But it's like the same way it applies in a couple days and weeks and months, it applies in years and 10 years, 5 years, you know what I mean?
The journey is the way, brother. And to insinuate for a second that I'm not frightened to death day to day. I don't want to front. I can't front. You know I can't front. I tell you the truth. I show you my vulnerabilities. There's no lying here. But I also, you probably can admit that you probably look at me sometimes like, this dude has this level of faith that everything's just going to work out for him. And all I could do is just consider the things that I've already been through and say, well, if I made it past that, I think I can figure this shit out. And at the end of the day, if we have our health and people love us and people care about us and we can make some arroz con gandules and fire up some cold ones if we want that, and we can party and spend time with people we love,
yeah,
I think we're okay.
It's all first world problems at the end of the day.
All first world problems. But no, listen, I don't want to minimize the fact that it'd be nice to achieve some big goals.
Yeah.
But we're going there. It's just a matter of doing it the right way. It's just a matter of doing it with patience. I'm glad right now that I'm in the dirt, to be honest with you. I told you in Kansas City that I was too comfortable.
Yeah.
Said I wanted to get back in the dirt. Well, here I am. I'm back in the dirt. Let's see what happens. We'll reboot this podcast in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
5
that's one
years.
thing I love, that we're documenting the journey, and also I would say the vulnerability that it brings out of us, especially me, because I'm more of like a reserved, like, I'm not going to lie, I've always just shown the highlights on this.
Yeah,
you know
everybody
what I mean?
does.
I've never shown
Everybody does.
the real side of life.
Everybody does.
You know what I mean?
Everybody
So it's like,
does. I've accepted that about myself here recently. I remember being young and even at times in my older age, people being like, oh, Charles, like, people don't need to know that. Oh, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is what I am. I was put on this world to make an impact. If even on one person, that's okay. And I will be damned that I don't share a journey that I've gone through. I have a lot of shortcomings. And I don't know which one of them I'm going to be able to fix in 6 months, or which are going to take me 10 years, or which ones I just need not attend to.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, my highlight reel is that I am going to be my most authentic self as often as I can possibly be, because the people that are in my life I feel like an incredibly blessed human being by the friendships and the family members that I have. And I like to think it's because I've always been my most authentic self, that they're like, hey, I like being around that cat.
Yeah.
So I can't complain. So be yourself, mother flowers.
Yeah. No, with that being said, man, I think there's a lot of good things, especially like I'll watch this back as I'm editing it.
Yeah.
And it'll give me that reminder I need. But the biggest thing is, one, I would say from this talk is make sure the information you're taking in through social media, through the books, through the podcast and all this stuff is from the right people. You know what I mean? Be careful of those wolves in sheep's clothing that are just out to take your money and then get rich off your, what is it? Not vulnerability, but your like desire for more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There is no way through anything short of hard work.
Yeah. And give yourself, grace. Live in the moment. Appreciate what you're going through. And focus on becoming a better person, becoming more disciplined, more consistent, building up your character.
Absolutely.
And less on the dollars in the bank account.
Absolutely.
I think those are the biggest takeaways from this episode.
Yeah, and I agree. I love that last part. Focus on that, and the bank account will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Promise you that. Thanks for tuning in, mi gente.